Hello and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the third webinar of our webinar series as part of the Agency Advancement Program. My name is Farhan Ahmed. I'll be presenting for you today. And this webinar will be continuing on our theme of creative excellence. Our last webinar was on creative excellence as well. The first part. This is the second part of it. I'm just going to take a couple of more minutes to allow additional viewers who would be joining us as well. So I'll be back with you in just 2 minutes. Thank you very much. And we're back. Thank you again for joining us today. As I was mentioning, we this is our third webinar of the series. Today, we're going to be focusing on another aspect of creative excellence. Those of you who joined us last time recall that we were focusing on a particular aspect of search marketing. We'll move forward to the next step of that particular theme. But before we go on, let's recap a little bit some things that we touched on last time. Last time we were discussing how the customer journey in the digital marketing world, in today's world, is a very different journey from what it used to be before. The customer now has so much information at hand that they actually control a lot of their own particular path with regards to reaching the ultimate, finally the end, which is the purchase. So as we discussed last time, this is the funnel that kind of breaks down what is the process of a customer journey from the beginning till the end of actually making a purchase. So we have the awareness stage, where of course it's important to make your brand be known as one of the brands that your customer is aware of, is familiar with. This is where your chances to grab attention. The consideration stage is where the customer is doing the research, is actually actively going online, making searches, finding out more information about the different options available, and reading reviews. And essentially, this is where the consumer's perception of the different brands are being shaped. So this is the stage of the funnel that you also want to be at and have a strong brand presence. The third section is actually where the purchase is, and this is where the customer is taking action and actually considering the purchase. And this is where your role as a marketer would be to influence their consideration towards your brand and your product. Um, and finally, as we discussed last time, the journey doesn't end with the first purchase. Um, that's a common mistake many advertisers can make, simply ending the cycle of the customer right after the purchase. But if you do so, you're really missing out on what we see here as the fourth pillar, the repeat purchase, building loyalty and retaining customers and enticing them to buy again. So just so this is kind of seared into your minds as to how to think about the customer journey in the digital marketing age. It's really important to really know how this funnel works, and also where what fits in where in this funnel. So the first two sections, the top two, where building awareness and the influence consideration is happening. Um, this is where you really want your brand to be visible, your brand to be remembered at the top of the mind of the consumer. This is where brand marketing really comes in very, very strongly, and it's really focused on reach, on impressions, and these are the products that you see here, YouTube and GDN, that are really designed towards strengthening the brand. Whereas when it comes to the last two sections, driving action and growing loyalty, this is where the customer is actually taking action, making purchases. And those actions involve conducting searches, actively looking for different products or related products. And it is during this time, this is where it's important to be strong on performance marketing. In performance marketing, the products that you can use is Google search, and Gmail ads. And essentially what we're talking about today and the last series was around performance marketing, specifically around search. So this is the section, these two sections will be where search marketing is most relevant. We also narrowed down to this particular theme. Last time we were during the last webinar, I'd mentioned to you that the 3 C's of creative excellence are very important to remember. Firstly, there's create. It's about creating effective, compelling ads that are that appeal to your customers and that have a strong message, and how to go about making those ads strong and have strong messages. This is something we created, we covered last webinar. There's also then complement, and then complementing, essentially ramping up your ads to enhance your ad message. And then finally, then the last stage of creative excellence is capture, which is capturing the right users. Today, since we covered create last week, we will be covering today the complement segment of this creative excellence process. Now, what does actually complement refer to? Here, I'm going to give you an example. So here's an ad. It's an ad for an airline. It's called Awesome Airlines. It's a fictitious airlines. It has, you're seeing in this ad a headline, the display URL, and a description line with some information about the ad. So that's one ad that you might be seeing on the display network. On the search network, a text ad. Now, in comparison to this ad, let's take a look at this other ad. Again, also for Awesome Airlines. But in this ad, there are some distinct differences that you can see between the first ad. This is, first of all, a bigger ad. It takes up more space. It has more information. The lines of description are there, but in addition to that, you can see more information about destinations, for example. There's a list of destinations that's up there. There's also additional descriptors like great way to fly, award-winning airline, additional information, and then there's those 4 links at the bottom, each with descriptions as well, which are different links from what the actual link at the top is. So basic point here, I think we can all agree that the one on the right is a good ad, while the one on the left, not so good. And we would categorize that as a bad ad. Now, what is making the difference here? It's important to remember here that extensions, essentially it's the extensions. What's happening between the left and the right is that the right one is packed with a lot of extensions, a lot of information that is being provided through these extensions, which ultimately enhances the look and feel of the ad. So the point being here is that extensions and formats are an integral part of the look and feel of a good ad. There's many reasons by which extensions actually add to this. Why is it important to have extensions? Because essentially what you're doing is making your visibility get higher. Just by the basic fact, like we were looking at the 2 ads before, when we talk about visibility, just the basic fact that the second ad is bigger, it has more information, directly has an impact on visibility. But it's not simply about just being bigger. It's about also providing information that is relevant to the user. Having extensions and having an ad show with extensions allows you to stand out, allows your ad to stand out compared to others. And there, we do actually have research that shows that search ads that use extensions are likely to see a more 10 to 15% higher CTR uplift, that compared to those that don't use extensions. Extensions are also a good way to drive efficiency. That means once you've added extensions, the clicks that you get might often, the overall number of clicks before you actually get to a conversion would probably be lower, because what you can do with extensions is, um, you can allow customers to cut out various different processes, different clicks from between the first search to the conversion. So you're cutting the number of steps. You can cut the number of steps for a consumer before they actually enter the purchase funnel. So they would have less clicks on your ads to get the same information. Let's say if you don't have extensions, a customer might return to your ads 3 or 4 times to find 3 or 4 different pieces of information. Whereas if you offer those information right up front, you can reduce those number of clicks on your ads. And finally, it boosts conversions. Giving users relevant information up front, it means that you're going to get more qualified leads. So I can't really stress enough how important extensions are. I did say here that we do have data. We actually have research that shows very conclusively that the impact of extensions is quite significant when it comes to CTR and conversion. Um, I know it can often seem like if you're starting off in AdWords, you created the ads and keywords, it might seem to you that extensions are kind of like an added feature, not essential, kind of like a good to have. I will refute that, and I will encourage and ask all of you to really pay attention to extensions when it comes to having good ads. You cannot complete the ad creation without having the proper formatting and extensions in place. Um, so what are the benefits of ad extensions? If we just break it down, what is it doing to an ad that is actually enhancing your performance? And the first thing is enhances the authenticity of a business. Just think about the two ads that I showed as an example. The one with just one line description and a display URL compared to the other one on the right with multiple links, much more information. At an intuitive level, the one on the right is obviously looks more authentic to a user who's looking at both those ads. Someone who sees a more packed ad with more information is more likely to buy into the authenticity of the business. This is very important in particular professions where authenticity matters, like for example, psychologists or counselors or things like that. Um, Authenticity is something that a user would be really interested in knowing about, or certain businesses where you're likely to have knockoffs. Um, Somebody who sees a small ad for in an industry where there is a high percentage of knockoffs, a small ad versus a large ad with many extensions is more likely to trust the larger ad. So it enhances the authenticity of the business. Secondly, the extensions gives the customer confidence in the business. That's essentially the same point. If the authenticity is strong, then customers trust the business more. Additionally, extensions also provides relevant informations to users. A user's journey in the search network when it comes to searching for keywords and finding ads is all about looking for information. The intention of the user is to find more information. So if you're able to give that information with the ad itself, you'll find that users are more perceptive and receptive to your ad. Furthermore, it makes your ad likely to be relevant for more searches. This kind of plays into the fact that the ads with extensions and more text will have more things for the search to relate to. For example, if you have an ad that doesn't have a location extension, and somebody searches for in a search, they include the word store or storefront. The one who has the location extension will be eligible for that search, whereas you won't. Similarly, with the other extensions and site links, the more you add, the more chances you have of being relevant for a particular search. So the system will actually prioritize and give preference to to ads that do have extensions and therefore have better ad rank. Extensions also simplifies the customer journey. As I was saying before, it cuts down the number of steps between the customer's intent of search and then the customer reaching the conversion. Instead of going through just into the website from just the headline and then navigating inside the website themselves, if you just allow the customer immediately to get what they want from the extension, their journey is simplified. And as a result of that, it reduces the steps between the ad click and the conversion. And when this happens, of course, you're likely to see increases in your CTR and your number of conversions. So these are all the benefits of extensions that, just off the top of our head, that you should also consider and bear in mind. These are very important benefits, and to get a competitive edge in search, it's really important that you have these in place. Oops, apologies for this. I seem to have misplaced something. Please excuse please excuse the section, the title in the middle. That's not supposed to be there, but essentially what I'm trying to show here is certain questions that a customer comes with. So a customer journey is, like I said, is all about questions. What are those questions that they could be asking? Many of the questions are around essentially what they want. So questions like, I would like to know if they have customer support or free delivery. They want to know where the nearest store is. Customers could like to know about the brands that are available and that are being sold. Customers could also have questions about prices, whether the products is within their budget or not. Questions around additional products that you might be offering. Maybe it's a customer who's already bought with you and they would like to know what else is being offered. And then they could also ask about, they could have questions about whether there's sales or discounts that they'd like to know about. Or questions around, maybe they want to talk to somebody directly about the product and the business. So these are all questions that customers can have throughout the process of looking at a product or trying to buy a product. Extensions are essentially a great way to make sure that before the question is asked directly by the customer, to offer the answer, assuming that the question is generally going to be asked around these particular topics. And make no mistake, all customers who are on search, everyone is there for information. Searching by its nature, just by the very definition of the word search, is to seek information. So these are the types of information that a customer might have. And there are extensions that actually cater to each of these types. So let's look at this particular question. If a customer wants to know whether your business has customer support or free delivery, what is the ideal way to show that? The extensions that we do recommend for something like this is the callout extensions. These are essentially extensions that allow you to kind of have extra text and extra kind of catchphrase call to action texts as part of your description. So it adds to your descriptions to give information with regards to additional features or additional services that you might be offering. This is an extra line of ad text, about 25 characters. Callout extensions, again, we do have research that shows that it does increase the CTR of ads by around 10% compared to those that do not have these extensions. Callout extensions is a way to convince users to highlight a value add attribute that you offer. So things like free delivery, 24-hour support, excellent discounts. If you want to just say discounts in general, you can include them in extensions. But most useful for extensions to use callout extensions is to have basically mentions of add-on features that you're adding value to in your business. The implementation of callout extension is quite simple, and when competing ads have the same quality score, let's say, and bid, the ad with the higher extension is expected to get more extension is expected to get more higher ad rank. So callout extensions again adds to the ad rank factor pretty directly. in terms of the relevance of the search to the ad. Best practices with regards to callout extensions: be brief. Don't make long phrases in callout extensions. You should have a minimum of 2 callouts in order to be able to serve. So sometimes if you're not serving your callout extensions, make sure don't just have one of them. At least two. A maximum of 4 will show, depending on the space that's available. We suggest that a maximum of 6 callouts should be created at any level that you choose, be it account, campaign, or ad group. A maximum of 6 is a good number to have. It's important to be specific with these extensions. So um, don't write very long statements. So instead of saying we have free shipping, just write free shipping. It should be bullet points that are catchy and really gets to the point immediately. Um, Sentences is not preferred over case titles, so make sure so it is recommended that instead of capitalizing all the words as you would in a normal description line, keep it short, small case for the callout extensions. And of course, monitor performance. So once you've created the callout extensions, check how successful the ads are that are appearing with the extensions. You can check this from the extensions tabs by looking at the clicks column, and breaking it down by clicks type, so that you can actually see how many extensions. So whenever you got clicks with extensions, that'll show up in the report. Another question that a customer can often have is, what are the facilities? For example, what facilities do they have? So if you're like a hotel, a question might ask, what kind of facilities are additionally available? If you are a tour operator, question might be, what destinations are being featured? If you are a retail brand, retailer with, so let's say, watch sales, you sell luxury watches. The question might be, what brands do they sell? So essentially, there can be questions around the offerings, the diversity of offerings that you are making with your product. The ideal extensions for that is a structured snippets extension. Now, this is newish as an extension, and I particularly like this because it really allows for a very wide, different range of things to express through it. Now, people often can kind of confuse between structured snippets and callouts, as in like use callouts as structured snippets. So sometimes people can use, I've seen callout extensions being used to describe the brands that are available, in which they're saying Rolex, Timex watch, all available if you're a watch supplier. I would recommend that you don't do that. So make sure that you use structured snippets for what they're made for, which is essentially to highlight the different features or the different ranges that are available to you. Having this information be part of the ad immediately gives the user the information about the diversity of the range, and that specific information will get you more qualified leads and more traffic to your website that is more relevant. There's different types of structured snippet extensions. Here's 4 examples. They're essentially defined by headers and brands. Headers and the value within them. So headers here are what you see as amenities, brand, courses, degree programs. Once you choose the header, then inside it you have to put in the values that are related to the header. So depending on the type of business you are, your header would be different. So like I said, if you're a hotel, your header, a relevant header, could be amenities. Amenities shows the list of facilities of a building or a place. In the example here, you can see for a hotel, you might want to say amenities like ski storage or swimming pool or restaurant. The extensions have to be specific to the amenities that's available. It cannot be other information other than amenities. So rated most comfortable, 100% satisfaction. These are not going to be allowed if you're using it for structured snippets. Secondly, there's things like brand. So like I said, if you're a salesman, if you have a retail store of a particular product and there's many different brands that you feature, brand is a perfect way as a header to show those. Don't include anything other than brand. Any additional information like cheap Nest or new Nexus phones, these are not going to be acceptable. Furthermore, things like courses. If you're an educational institution, you can highlight courses directly and part of the structured extensions. If you're also university, there's a different way to then have degree programs highlighted. Bear in mind, there are different structured snippet headers. Don't use degree programs with courses or courses with degree programs. They need to make distinctions between those. So there's a four of them, and there's many others. Some of them highlighted here, unless in some brief descriptions of them. Destinations, again, if like an airline, destinations would be a very pertinent extension structure snippet to have. The destination has to be of a place, a country, cannot be like regional, cannot be a neighborhood. Something like a neighborhood is actually a different extension, so it's a sub-region or district of a city. This could be uh, different outlets maybe of a particular shop. You can try and put different neighborhoods for that. Featured hotels, for example, a hotel booking service. If they have multiple hotels that they're actually allowing you to book for, you can use a featured hotel structure snippets. Then there's additional service catalogs, insurance coverage, shows, models, styles, types. So as you can see, it actually gets quite specific to the type of business that is being advertised. And so these extensions were actually designed bearing in mind certain kinds of widely used, widely advertised businesses that could benefit from this particular structure snippet extension. So based on the business that you are advertising for, choose the extension that's most relevant. With structure snippet extensions, some of the best practices that you should remember: focus on the essential. Make sure the headers are very specific and the information really gets to the point. Again, you should have at least 2 headers, ideally with 4 values in each of them. It's really doesn't look nice if you just have 1 header and 1 value. It again looks like incomplete as an ad. So at least have 4 values. Make it relevant. Don't, like I said before with the examples that were disapproved, don't make unspecific, irrelevant entries into the values. Make sure that if you're using the brand as a header, ask the question: is Adidas a brand? Is Wi-Fi an amenity? So if they're not actually relevant, your extensions would be disapproved. And then important to avoid confusion. So structure snippets highlight a specific aspect of the product or service, while callouts highlight what makes them unique. So make the distinction between the fact that structure snippets is around the product and the range of the product, whereas callouts is additional features, add-on values that the product can offer or the business can offer. All right. Now, another question like we were looking at, is it within my budget? This is a very common question the customer can have when they're looking at an ad. And what great opportunity for you to show that and give that information right away on the ad itself. If you can imagine, when a customer sees that question answered immediately, they're more likely to proceed towards exploring further about what's available. So price extensions is the way to do this. Price extensions are an ad extension that shows prices of the products. You can have deep links connected to them to lead to those specific product pages. Although at the moment, price extensions are not available in PKR. So if you're using it in Pakistan, you'll have to use one of the other available currencies. So if that is relevant for you, if that works for you, please do go ahead and use those. Some of you might have clients that are advertising outside of Pakistan to clients using different currencies, maybe US dollars. You might want to use it. Or if your client doesn't mind showing the price in US dollars, you can also go ahead and use price extensions. So some of the best practices with price extensions: keep it fresh, make it up to date, which is actually true with all the extensions. Always keep monitoring the extensions, seeing the performance, and update as you see fit. If you see some things not working, make a change as you require. So keep the data fresh because prices keep changing, and highlight prices you highlight should be up to date. Don't make repetitions of the headers. So if you are making price extensions, make sure your descriptions and the headlines are unique, so you don't have multiple descriptions and headlines. It's bad experience for a customer to see an ad with 2-3 price extensions, but all of them are the same. It would show carelessness in terms of the ad creation, and therefore you lose kind of an authenticity there. So make sure the headers are unique. And if you have products that don't have specific prices, you can still use it. Use qualifiers with things like say up to a certain price or starting from a certain price. That's a good way to kind of cover a wide range of price ranges with this extension. Another question, I want to see if there's any discount sales that is happening. Um, just imagine what an enticing way to get customers to come to your website, click on your ad, if you're able to attract their attention by sales that are available on your products. And if you're able to communicate on those sales immediately in the ad, that's a much better way to go about it. So for that, what we have is the promotion extensions. Now, good news, this is available in PKR. So you can actually create these in Pakistan rupees from the drop-down list. These extensions in the searcher format enables customers to highlight specific sales and promotions across the ads. It's when your deals are extra relevant to consumers at certain times of the year, this could be a very good way to do it. So, for example, if you have deals for Eid, you might want to promote those deals using promotion extensions. Right before Eid, you might want to have scheduled your extensions to appear with Eid offers and Eid discounts. So you can also make offers even more prominent by choosing one of the special occasion labels to show your promotion. So when you create promotion extensions, this is kind of the setup that you will see here. There are labels. When you create the extension, you'll see in the first column, that's essentially a list of special occasions that you can choose from that allows your that could be relevant to the particular promotions that you're having. So New Year's, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Women's Day. By the way, happy Women's Day to everybody joining us. International Women's Days today. So if you have promotions for that, like those kind of events, you can choose it from this list. And having a very specific special occasion show in your promotion actually improves the chances of that extension being shown and improves the ad rank. So if you're able to use one of these special occasions, please do make use of it. Then when it comes to setting up the promotion itself, you have multiple options. You can do it by monetary discount or percentage discount, or up to a monetary discount, up to a percentage discount, whatever you choose. And as I was mentioning, you can choose PKR as a currency. And once you set it up, you also get to set a final URL, which would be where the clicking on that extension would lead users to. And additionally, you can set the date depending on when you want this promotion to begin or end. So I would recommend definitely look into details of that extension, especially given that it's available in PKR for holidays and for special occasions. It'd be very useful. Finally, not finally, but next coming to another question that customers have. Somebody who's already bought a product. So this is like a customer who's already made a purchase, aware of the business, but they're also wondering what else they could buy. So let's say they're searching again for your business and they see an ad for your business. If you're able to show them all the offerings that you have, all that they have not purchased yet, that will be a definitely good way to get their attention. So for that, we have the site link extension. I think this is probably the extension that most of you are the most familiar with. It's the most commonly used one. And I would say definitely it should be, because it's really one of the most basic and essential extensions that you should use. It provides more space in the search results page and makes you more visible. Again, it's proven to boost average CTR by 10 to 20%, but it can actually boost up to 50% when the search is related to your brand terms. So if you're applying these site link extensions with diverse product ranges listed out in an ad group where you have your brand keywords, our experiments have shown that it can from 20 to 50% increase in CTR as compared to if you don't use extensions, the site link extensions. Understandably, it's sending users directly to the right page, therefore increases the chances of them converting on that page. And it's actually easy to manage. So you can update at the account, campaign level, whichever you prefer, or ad group level as well. And the system will display the best performing, the most relevant extensions depending on the search query. So that'll be an automated process. And having more extensions be available for the system, again, makes your search be more likely to be relevant for more searches. Site link extensions, best practices. Make sure you optimize them for rotation. So this again means have many different site links and implement them. Implement many relevant site links, as many as you can, and Google will choose the best possible ones. Site links can also have third-party sites. So if you have pages that lead to Facebook pages, LinkedIn pages, you can have them as site links, and consider having them as added as in as that extension as a site link. Also, like I said, with other things, keep it fresh. Don't let them get too old. So if it's like I said last time, success is not really a one size fits all solution. It's constantly monitoring, evaluating, looking at what works, and making changes based on what you need. So again, keep contents fresh. Make sure you look at how an extension, a site link, is doing against the others. For that, you can look at this extension versus other segment in the interface, and it'll show you how that extension is performing compared to other parts of the ad. So if you have certain parts, and from that, if you see certain extensions are not working well, get as fast as you can to make changes to them. So it's a dynamic process. Look at the data, make changes as you require. Site links with additional details. Now, adding text description site links can help boost performance and is an option particularly useful for brand campaigns or queries where customers' ad is only on one of the pages. So, um, in such a situation, the additional details is actually what is going to be the winning factor, give you the cutting edge over any other competitor. Um, Another question that a common question a customer can ask is, where's the nearest store? For this we have what we call this location extensions. Very useful extension, gives you a description of exact map location of any storefront that your business might have. This is useful for driving store sales. So essentially, somebody who sees an ad, wants to buy, decides to buy, but would like to check it out first. Then they can see that from the location extension and just go to the shop, without having to look in your website for contact information. Just that process of making them go to the site and have to search for it, you're going to lose a large portion of your clients. So being able to show this extension right away, being show the location right away of the ad, is really useful to do that. But not only does it actually help people to find the store, it also drives online sales. Now, I've had some advertisers tell me, we don't want to have location extensions because we'd like to make sales online. We don't want them. We don't want users to go to the store itself because we want the sales to happen online. Um, Keeping location extensions out with that logic in mind is actually detrimental to the overall performance, because at the end of the day, being able to see a location extension and a map location makes a user feel more confident about the business itself, gives the user a feeling of authenticity with regards to this particular business. So not having the location extension and choosing to do that by that logic, I would say, is erroneous to think like that. Have the extension in there. A user who sees that there is a storefront is more likely to trust that business from the ad and is therefore more likely to buy it online even. So earning the authenticity and earning the confidence of the user is important. For that, have this extension in place too. Again, we do have research that shows location extension shows a 10% boost in CTR as well. So driving online sales is definitely being aided by this extension. The best practices do, in order to boost visibility, a bid modifier, depending on the location, wherever the store location is, choose, if you can choose that as a specific target area and do a bid modification, it increases the visibility of your ad. And also it increases the chances of people in that area who are near the store to then drop into the store. Secondly, like anything else, keep it updated. There's these extensions actually serve through Google My Business account. You will be setting up your addresses of your business in the GMB account, and from the GMB account, by linking it to AdWords, that's where the location extensions will come. So make sure your GMB account is up to date with the latest addresses. If you have additional storefronts that open up, add them as GMB account addresses. And then adapt bids, meaning bid more aggressively for users that are close to your stores to ensure that they see your ad. This is by the location bid setting that I was talking about. Then a question can also come is, I really need to talk with a specialist about this product and a friend product a friend recommended. Essentially, somebody has heard about a product from somewhere, and then they did a search, and based on that search, ideally they'd like to maybe talk to a representative or somebody who has more information, somebody from the business about that product. In order to allow customers to reach you, what we have is two different types of extensions. The first one is call extensions. This actually is very useful and very handy. Is again should be considered one of the basic extensions that you should have. This allows customers to see a phone number and then call you directly from the ad itself. The convenience is it can generate calls directly from the ad. It can it can drive response, and you can get more qualified leads through the call extension, because a customer who's interested would be the one who calls through, and there it gives you the opportunity to receive that call and then make a sale on the spot as you're on the call. And you also have the option to keep the schedule it at different times as you would like. It might not be relevant to keep your call extensions on if you have no one to answer that call. So don't make it a blanket thing. If your business closes at night, make sure your call extension is scheduled to not show at night. It's a bad experience for a customer if they see a call extension at night, they call it, they don't get through. Your business loses a bit of credibility. So make sure that you use it with the scheduling as required. So with regards to call extensions, unfortunately, in our region, we still don't have what is the Google forwarding number feature. This is a feature that allows you to track details of the call extension clicks and the calls that led to it, and then even also monitoring the length of the calls. So there's actually some details that are available. Those are not available in our market yet. We do hope to bring them in the near future. But in the meantime, if you do want to track specifically calls that are coming for AdWords, one thing we recommend is using a mobile number that is uniquely only for the AdWords call extensions. That way, any calls you're getting to that mobile number is it's from AdWords. Therefore, you can actually track and monitor like that. And of course, make sure when you get a call, don't disappoint. Make sure you answer the call, and make sure your staff is trained to answer the question, and the service and the products that you're mentioning extension are covered, and that the overall experience of the user is positive. A second way that a customer can reach out is a message extension. This allows the customer to type a message right from the ad itself. And it's convenient in that it doesn't, like, again, you're capturing any opportunity that a customer has, any expression of being able to contact you, you're getting it right there in the ad. Users get a chance to ask questions, talk about prices without having to go dig in your website. And they like to have this personal, if someone likes the personal one-on-one interaction, might be the winning factor that wins them over to finally make a purchase. And it generates leads. For message extensions, make sure that the messages are relevant. It matches the campaigns and ad groups and the product themes that you're using. There's a call to action that you can add when you create a message extension. Something like text us to get a quote. So some message that entices the user to actually use that extension. Also, when you create a message extension, you have an opportunity to put a pre-filled message in their SMS window before they send out the text. So make this an exciting message. Make it a funny message or attractive message. Definitely make it an accurate, grammatically correct, and properly structured message. But here's also an opportunity to add something more, add a bit more flavor to your contact with this customer through this message extension. And of course, make sure that at the end of the day, once the message goes out to you, you have someone to respond to it. You're giving the customer good service based on good service and good responses and professional and timely responses from that message extension. So just to kind of summarize a bit, it's really important to choose the right extension for your business. Not all these extensions are relevant for all businesses. I would say that at the top three, Sitelink, Callout, and Structured Snippets, I would say, are universally relevant. Sitelinks because every website has multiple pages, different products, or even the contact page or prices page, anything. Sitelinks can be applied to any different pages listed out in the ad. Callout, of course, any business could use more space to say more things. Structured snippets, I think it's universally acceptable and relevant because there's such a diverse range of headlines that's available, headers. Therefore, you might find your business to be actually within it. I would also say call extensions and message extensions should be also part of all marketing objectives. Then the rest of them, say app extensions, review extensions. Review something we didn't cover uh, in this webinar so far, because generally in Pakistan we really don't have that many review extensions coming up because it requires other features that are not yet available. But app extensions, if you have an app, create app extensions and then show your app with your ad. Directly lead users to downloads. Then location extensions also, I think, is very basic. So all of these, I would say, add as many as you can, as many as is relevant to your business. The more you have, the better performance you're likely to get. It doesn't cost you extra to create extensions, so please don't hold back. Please go ahead and create as many as are relevant to you. Um, in terms of best practices, cover the 3 key extensions, of course, but I would go beyond it. I would say add whatever you are able to actually make sense, and that applies. Maximize code triggering. Select at least one additional extension to implement across all ad groups, to ensure all your ads have the potential to show as many extensions as possible. So make sure the 3 is across everything, and then on the other ad groups, add something additional. And then go above and beyond. Round out coverage across all other applicable extensions. This will give Google the best ability to optimize the set of your extensions to serve your ads. So the more options you give the system, the better the system can perform for you, showing you the extensions that, showing you advertisers extensions that are relevant, therefore increasing the performance, getting you more clicks and more conversions. Now, I want to quickly go through some issues that might come through with regards to extensions, troubleshooter issues that are very common. Firstly, with site link extensions, sometimes you might see approved limited status. This is related to maybe a potential trademark issue. So if you're using trademark terms and extensions, it might be approved limited. You'd have to get authorization from the trademark owner to be able to use that. Some site links are actively set up at different levels. So some users might be saying that they're not seeing their site links serving, they have stopped serving. Okay, make sure you check at what levels all site links are applied. It's possible to apply extensions at account level, campaign level, or ad group level. Sometimes this can get very confusing and a lot mixed up. Like people apply a few at ad group level, few at campaign level, some at account level, and they're not really aware of where is what. Be aware. Be know exactly what levels you have applied what extensions. This information is key for you to be able to deal with any kind of issues that come around serving. So, but remember though, there must be at least 2 actively set up site link and approved site link extensions for it to be eligible to serve. Sometimes you could maybe add, let's say, 4 extensions you've added at a campaign level, but at the ad group level, you have 1 extension inside that campaign, and then you see it's not serving. Then people say, I have 4 extensions at this campaign level. How come it's not serving at all? That's because the extensions that are most granular will be the one that's considered. So therefore, because you have ad group level extensions, that'll be considered. But because you only have 1, it is not going to be able to serve. So basic point is be aware of where what is. Don't apply randomly all across the place. Have a system, have visibility over where it is. Ensure the start or end date is scheduled. That sometimes if you're scheduled out of the date, it won't serve. Check to see the granular setup. This is what I was talking about just now. Make sure you have visibility over that. Make sure there's no duplicate site links leading to the same page. If you have multiple site links leading to the same page, it might not serve. Site links are designed to be leading to different pages, so different options for user to go to different pages. Make sure you're using different links for site links that you're putting within the same campaign or ad group or account. All right, additional issues. Site links are not serving all the time. The description line doesn't always show. This is actually as intended. Site links or any extensions, there's never a guarantee that it'll show all the time, every time your ad shows up. The system will determine how to serve it based on the relevance and the optimal delivery that it has. If I create a site link with additional detail, is it guaranteed to serve? No, again, this is an automated process, really depends on the ad position, quality score, and relevant factors. The best you can do is create a lot of site links and have your ads be high quality. Finally, with symbols, ensure that the first line of the extension is a headline, while the remaining 2 lines are used as description lines. So don't use exclamation marks, use regular texts, just like a regular text ad. Issue the callout extensions. Again, there's a two callout minimum in order to be able to serve. So if you just have one callout built into your campaign or ad group, it's not going to serve. Have at least two. Don't repeat the same text across multiple callout; it'll be disapproved. And there's editorial policies that can apply. Too much punctuation, actually, no exclamation mark or non-standard punctuation can be used. You can use full stops or commas, but um, exclamations, uh, question marks might be allowed, but if you do too many fancy symbols, that would not be allowed. Callouts must be relevant to the advertised ad, so don't be completely, if it's an ad about pizzas, don't make callouts about flower delivery. Those are not going to be approved. And then same issues around trademarks, local policies around gambling, pharmaceuticals, alcohol product policies will also be followed in callouts. Structure snippet extensions. Why are there no clicks? This is because there's a kind of question we often get. I'm not getting clicks on my structure snippets. These are not clickable. Structure snippets are simply show up like callouts as data. Therefore, you don't see any click information. If it's not serving, check to see if a more granular extension setup exists. Same as I was saying, you can set these up at different levels. The most granular one will be taken into consideration. And if there's issues in that most granular one, nothing will serve. Structure snippets not running on mobile. There's a character limit of 25 for each value. So if your setup should have some values with text limited to less than 12 characters to allow serving on mobile devices to fit the display. So some of the snippets, some of the values, you should try and keep it shorter so that it can actually fit on mobile. And then check the mobile preferred box if you would like them to show on mobile more. Check if at least 3 text values for each header, and 4 is recommended. So as I was saying, each header is allowed multiple values. Don't have just 1 or 2. That doesn't really look good. Have at least 4. The add text of structured snippets, the header values, apologies. Sorry about that. The add text should and the structure snippet header and value text language must match. So don't have different languages in as the ad and the head and the snippets. They can serve with other extensions, but that depends on really the space. Again, also the editorial issues will come into play. Don't have too many punctuations, commas, exclamation marks, etc. Structured snippets header and value must match. So this is actually the most common issue that happens with structured snippets. People are choosing a header like brands, but the values are not brands. The values are, let's say brand is chosen and it's a bed supplier, and inside brand header they're putting in single bed, double bed, queen size, king size, things like that. That's a mismatch. So that won't work. Make sure that the values, the header that you choose matches the values. Details of what that definition is available in our help center, the article on structure snippets policy. Please do take a look at that. Our approval is very much dependent on whether they're matched and whether they're relevant. So disapproved structure snippets, usually the issue is with that mismatch. For example, with amenities, same issue. Like amenities would be something like if a hotel or a hostel or an office building, what amenities does it have? Things like Wi-Fi, breakfast, pool, gym. But if you're including in amenities things like rated most comfortable, 100% satisfaction guaranteed, these are not amenities. These are more set for call-out extensions maybe, but make sure they do match. Destinations, again, if you're using the header as destination, these have to be names of places. They cannot be visit Paris or hotels in 200 cities. That's not going to be acceptable. Similar mismatches with types, with styles. Again, these are common errors. I'm not going to go through details of all of them as we're kind of reaching the end, but do look through the article on structure snippet policy to understand the boundaries of what is considered as relevant headers. Issues with call extensions. Is the business phone number, if the call extension isn't working, let's say, make sure that the phone number is of the business, and that if it is an international toll-free number, during the setup, choose international toll-free as the country. From the list of countries, the last option is international free phone. So if it's an international toll-free number, choose that. Vanity numbers and premium numbers are not allowed, neither are fax numbers. So don't use these numbers for call extensions. They will not be approved. Call extensions also, to be able to be approved, have to be able to be verified. So once you create a call extension, the verification there's three ways to do it. One is to ensure that the phone number is actually present on the website. This is the easiest way to verify a phone number. So make sure that the phone number that you're using for call extension is present on the website as text, not as an image file, not as a picture of a phone number, but as a text. So that is what will be matched with the call extension and therefore will be verified. You can also do it by linking Search Console to AdWords account. Search Console is what your website. You can link website to Search Console and then Search Console to AdWords. And also, another way to add a unique AdWords conversion tracking or marketing tag to the landing page. So these are ways to make sure verification happens. The easiest, of course, is the first one. Have your number be listed on your website. Issues with message extensions. The extensions can be disapproved if the promotion doesn't make sense. This is again basic editorial. Make sure you have grammatically correct full sentences. The message extension should have the name of the product and service and the entity. The number being used needs to be correct, accurate, working. If numbers are not local or domestic for the country you're targeting, then that'll be an issue. And make sure the phone numbers are not vanity numbers. Make sure users don't have to pay extra for those numbers. Our system can detect those kind of numbers and it's going to disapprove those extensions. Then data collection. If you're actually using message extensions to get users to fill in information like IDs or financial information, those extensions will be disapproved because that is violating our policy on data collection. Make sure that you're responding to the messages that are being sent. If you're slow and unreasonable to respond to messages, if your messages are irrelevantly answered, then those extensions might be disapproved. Personal information, again, no collection of personal information. And of course, using trademarks or products that have policy restrictions like gambling, alcohol, then the extensions might be disapproved. Price extensions, as I mentioned, it's only available actually in specific these languages. So and also the currencies, it's actually PKR is not available, but you can use these other currencies if it's relevant to you. They again have to follow editorial policies, make sure capitalization isn't excessive, spacing is correct, punctuation is right, basic grammatical issues, also trademark issues. App extensions, the app needs to be, so these are extensions that lead a user to an app, right? If the app is not family safe, then the extension won't be approved. If the app is not linking, if the link of the app is not leading to an iTunes or an app store or a Play Store, then it wouldn't be approved. You can't have the app hosted on a third-party app download page for the app extension. It has to be on either of these two stores. And the download functionality has to be functioning. So if somebody clicks on the link and the download doesn't begin, then the extension would be disapproved. So make sure that the link is working correctly. And then location extension issues. Sometimes the issue can happen that the location isn't syncing. As I mentioned, for location extension, AdWords has to be synced with Google My Business, and it's from Google My Business that the locations will be imported into AdWords. Now, when you link AdWords and Google My Business, it can take some time for that to sync. Generally, a 24-hour time frame should be allowed for it to actually sync properly. But sometimes if you're seeing issues, no location extensions, firstly check, is it linked? Is the AdWords account linked to the GMB profile? Every child account needs to be linked specifically, separately to the GMB profile. So you can't just have one child account linked and then see it on the others. Is the linking to the correct account? If it's not in the correct account, you're not going to get the correct addresses coming from that account. Does the GMB account have business pages and addresses? Sometimes if you link to an empty business account, you will not obviously see any locations coming through. So make sure the GMB account you're linking to has the businesses. And then the filter, if a filter is applied, does that match any of the locations of the Google My Business page? if you, let's say if you have a GMB page with a lot of different locations, like 200 different ones, you might not want all of them to be used as location extensions. If that is the case, you can actually use filters to make sure that only the ones you want are imported into AdWords. But for filters to work correctly, you have to label your profile you have to label your locations in the GMB profile correctly. So make sure that the labels on the GMB profile, which are like business name, category, or custom label, make sure they're correctly done, spelled right, and then apply the filters correctly in the AdWords interface. Promotion extensions. These are actually available in PKR, as I was saying. The language, of course, is only in English. Promotional extensions can have issues if you're using promo codes. Should not contain promotional extensions. So you shouldn't have promo codes as part of promotional extensions. That's not what they mean. Promotional extensions are about discounts or savings. Again, they have to follow the editorial policies as normal, capitalization, spacing. Make sure that the destination URL that you are linking to the extension clearly mentions the promotion you're talking about in the extension itself. If your landing page does not actually have the promotion, it'll be disapproved for unavailable offer. So unavailable offer is for promoting a deal that is no longer active. Promotions promoting a price that is inaccurate. Make sure those numbers are correct and match. Otherwise, they'll be disapproved. And also trademark and policy-wide applications. Now, this another kind of extension that we haven't really talked about before, but are there in AdWords is the automated extensions. Now, automated extensions, you can see it from the extensions, add extensions tab, going to view, and then choosing automated extensions report. Automated extensions are things like dynamic structured snippets. Sometimes you might see I've seen cases where a customer calls into us and says, "Hey, I had never created structured snippets, but I'm seeing structured snippets with my ad. It's outlining the destinations that I have flights to or have offerings. Automatically showing that. I looked into my accounts, I don't have structured snippets." So that is actually what's happening. There is an automated dynamic structured snippet, which is an automated extension. These are actually not available in all accounts. Certain accounts have automated extension features available and enabled. Dynamic is one kind. However, if you are seeing that happen in your account, but you don't want it to be there, you can actually opt out. And in order to opt out, you basically have to go here. Go to Add Extensions, change the View to Automated Extensions report, go to the Automated Extension Options Advanced, and then there you will see the option to opt out of automated extensions. So that is our session for today. If you do have questions, I did leave the chat open. If you do have questions, please do feel free to write on the chat box right now. I'll wait a couple minutes to see if that happens. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us today. Extension. So this particular session was on, as I was saying, on the complement section of the creative excellence journey. It is very important still. In that, like I said in the beginning, a lot of people they might not think of extensions as a really essential part. But last webinar, as we discussed ad rank, if you recall, ad rank actually includes the bid, the quality score, and the final factor that affects ad rank is the impact of extensions. So it's really important, as important as the bid and the quality score, to make sure that your ad is performing well on the search network. So do look through all the extensions available. Ramp up your account and your campaigns and ad groups with as many extensions that are relevant. Definitely have the basic ones, but then have the add-on ones that we also mentioned. Make sure you have good visibility of where they're applied. Don't apply extensions in a haphazard way. Have a system. Have a system to how you're going to apply them. You have the freedom to apply at the account level or the campaign level or the ad group level. So apply them based on that. You might have a retail product, let's say. Maybe you sell clothes and you have a campaign for men and one for women. You might want extensions in the women's campaign, site link extensions, maybe only to do with pages leading to shalwar kameez or lady shoes, whereas for the men's campaign you might have site link extensions only leading to men's products, suits or pants. So essentially, categorize use extensions based on the need that you have, and given that you have the freedom to apply extensions as high as the account level and as low as the ad group level, use that and know exactly where you're applying it, and have a logic and a thought process behind how you do that. um, Okay, so I'm not seeing anything coming through on the chat, so I'll leave it at that. I will be sending out a survey form by email. I would really appreciate if you were able to fill out the form. We really would like to hear back from you. Thank you again for joining us today. I hope this was useful for you. Please join us next week. We will be covering the third stage of creative excellence, essentially the capture stage. This is actually going to be very interesting. It'll be about remarketing and audiences. How can you use most effectively remarketing lists and audience lists to capture the right audience that you need to reach? For next session, we will have a guest presenter. It will not be by me, but a guest presenter who will be joining us, an expert in remarketing and audiences. So please do tune into that next week. We'll be providing you details on that as we go along later in the beginning of next week. So thank you for joining us today. Have a good day. Bye bye.